the next one, James Young now.
I dropped it in there.
All right, are we going to leave it this time, or I think we'll leave it. Okay. Thank you everyone for coming. This is to the People's Republic of St Kilda. This is a official St Kilda Light community meeting, and it's honouring the life of Rowland S. Howard, so please feel free to smoke. It's wonderful to see so many of you here today, to a man who meant so much to so many of us. I don't know what to say. I do have some, I should introduce myself, that would be the polite thing to do. My name is Nick Haines, for those of you who don't know me. Today, for me, is the culmination of 3.5 years of hard work and lobbying. And to say I'm very happy to be here today is an understatement. To say I'd rather be in an unnamed lane with my best friend is also an understatement. So let's not forget that. I actually should point out we're actually waiting for emergency services to arrive, but apparently they've got lost. That's an in-joke. Thank you, Martin. I'll start with the thank yous. So be nice. Me, be nice, you know me. First of all, a big thank you to the City of Port Phillip. They were right behind this project from day one. Our Mayor Amanda and local councillor Serge. Right from day one, from the day I took the petition in there, they unanimously voted for it, right behind it, and they've been on board from day one, and that's been a big help. The family, Harry, Angela, Genevieve, who have stuck by me despite me saying, yes, it's coming, yes, it's coming, yes, it's coming, have been right behind me from day one. I really do appreciate that. I should mention that Angela actually said to me, when I said to Angela the official day had come, it was official, we had the name, Angela said to me that there were 2 books that Rowland never thought he'd be in, the Bible and the Street Directory. One down, one to go, Angela. We'll work on the other one. A big thank you to Beck, Quincy and Helen from Slam Victoria. They were a huge help along the way. James Young, who himself owns a bar on a very famous rock and roll street name, who's been very supportive. Patrick Donovan of Music Victoria, who was probably the catalyst for me to get off my bum and get this done. Big thank you to my wife, Michelle, who's ridden every bump and obstacle thrown in our way along the way, and was a dear friend of Rowland's, and I know this means very much to her today. And also, lastly but definitely not least, thank you, our local Member of Parliament, Martin Foley. He is the man that, when I approached with the problem we were having with the double name, triple name, well, it's a double name and an initial if we're going to be pedantic, but anyway, it's all right. I said, look, what can we do about this? And he said, there is an option. We get the Office of Geographic Location, we can have the name approved if it's said by the Minister of Planning. I went, brilliant, problem solved. No. Martin then said he would ask the question of the Minister of Planning in Parliament, which he did. The Minister of Planning then refused for whatever reason, probably because Rowland didn't play AFL football. Sorry. And Martin said, don't worry too much. If we get into power next election, we will make it happen. Labor got elected, Martin made it happen. So Martin, I don't know how an old lefty... Thank you, yes, it's probably the Martin, I don't know how an old lefty from an Irish Catholic background with a Republican streak in him feels about knighthoods, but be assured, for in our household, you are forever known as Sir Martin Foley. Yes, you are. And also, just a couple of quick apologies. 2 very dear friends and musical colleagues of Rowland's who couldn't be here today, Spencer P. Jones and Brian Hooper. No, I know what you're thinking. No, they're not in jail. Spencer's in Perth doing a gig, and Brian and his wonderful wife Nina have just given birth to twin girls, so he's got a good excuse for not being here. Anyway, that's about enough from me. First of all, I'd like to hand you over to the aforementioned Sir Martin Foley to have a few words about how we got to where we are today. Thank you.
Well done, Nick. Thanks very much, Nick. And given the weather, even though it's lovely and sunny, it's freezing, so we'll be quick. I'll begin by acknowledging that we meet here today on the traditional lands of the Kulin Nation, and that we stand here as the successors and the partners of the Wurundjeri people, and particularly the Yalgurrung clan of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to their elders past and present. Can I say well done, Nick, first and foremost. This wouldn't be here without Nick's driving passion, not just for his friend and for the perpetuation of the recognition of the role that Rowland played in popular culture globally, but particularly in St Kilda and particularly in Melbourne. That's a fantastic achievement, and that you've stuck with this despite a few ups and downs is a significant achievement, and well done to you, Nick. Well done also, can I acknowledge Rowland's family and Genevieve, his partner, and just put out the plea that whoever's got Genevieve's records, can we give them back please? It's a bit unacceptable in this day and age. So we certainly acknowledge their important contribution to make sure that the person they loved and who made such a major contribution to music culture in this town is appropriately recognised. Can I also acknowledge Serge as the ward councillor and Amanda as the mayor for their unstinted support for this effort. And can I just also say that this is important in terms of making sure that the contribution that popular and contemporary and rock and roll music has made to this part of town, but to Melbourne, is recognised. This is a part of, I would hope to think, the rolling out of our commitment around the importance that laneways play, not just as places, but as symbols of the kind of edginess that apparently is at risk. And we have to make sure that making sure contemporary music stays just that, contemporary, and is recognised for its own worth first and foremost, is at the forefront of what it is that the Music Works policy that we're committed to is going to do. But we also need to recognise that as we all mature, to put it politely, that the opportunities for laneways and contemporary music and music and cultural activities more broadly as a generator of activity, as a generator of jobs, as a generator of visitations to this part of town is an important part of recognising Rowland and lots of other people in the laneways culture. Our strengths are our music and our creativity, and it's only appropriate in these circumstances that iconic figures such as Rowland S. Howard get commemorated and their memory lives, and more importantly, their contribution lives on in not just sideways, but in the live music, and the contribution it continues to make to Victoria, to St Kilda, and indeed to our world. So well done, Nick. Well done, Genevieve. Well done, Rowland's family. And it's a great pleasure to be here, part of this important revealing of Rowland S. Howard Lane.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Martin. I'm actually going to dob Martin in here for a minute. Most people I know, well, myself included, can be a little bit cynical about politicians and if they have lives or indeed had childhoods. Last year when I was at the Radio Birdman gig at the corner, Martin sent me a message saying, "Book 'em, Dano." And I went, yeah, that's my Member of Parliament. Anyway, now, as I mentioned before, the City of Port Phillip have been fabulous and on board with this idea from day one. So I'd like to introduce to you the Mayor of Port Phillip, Amanda Stevens. Amanda?
Thanks very much, Nick. And look, I'll keep it very short because it is cold. And look, we are here to celebrate and commemorate a legend of St Kilda and of our contemporary music scene. And I think Martin has said that well, and I acknowledge our local member and the Minister for Creative Industries and Nick's unflinching commitment to this, and Serge Tamam's commitment to this, and also acknowledge Michelle's putting up with Nick's commitment to this.
And more.
And I did love her hat too, but she won't give it to me. And look, also, this is a sombre moment. We do commemorate his life, and I think it's fitting. This is a place where Rowland lived in the last years of his life, I believe, and I'm fortunate enough to live on Eildon Road for a few years of my life too, and this is the laneway that you use if you live on Eildon Road to go down to Fitzroy Street via Jackson Street. So I think it is fitting that we commemorate this particular lane and this particular place. Place is important and commemoration's important. So it's great for us to be here today to unveil this sign in his memory, and it is the biggest sign ever. Hopefully it doesn't blow down. Anyway, look, thank you for all coming out today, and it's with great pleasure that we do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Yes, it is a big sign. It's actually bigger than a white jag, which is quite ironic. I should also point out, speaking of the sign and how long it is, it actually had to be specially made by the City of Port Phillip. They actually had to outsource it. So, and again, thank you very much to the City of Port Phillip for not cutting any corners, which I think that's good. No, seriously, that's very good. Yes, another round of applause, please. Now, finally, we're going to, well, as I've said before, we're here to honour a musician and someone that we all knew, but I don't think you can ever quite put pay to the loss of a family member, let alone a dear friend. And I know that Rowland's family is here today and would like to say a few words. And can I please welcome up Harry, Angela and Genevieve, and they'll all say to you a few words about their brother and their long-term partner. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Yes, it's a very long sign, longer than Rowland's nose, I believe. But it's a kind of silly occasion in a way, so I'm not going to get very serious about it. But
no, Rowland would have laughed. Well, it was a very long sign because Rowland was very tall, streak of a man, so, you know.
He was long and thin and his trousers had to be outsourced.
But I'd really like to thank everyone who was involved, and I'm not very good at names, but Martin and the Mayoress for their kindness. The Mayor, sorry, I like harking back to a more genteel age. But, I would say, you know, it's as someone just pointed out to me before, we have Shakespeare Grove, and now we have Rowland as Howard Lane, and I think that is very nice and very fitting. And he did lurch around these streets quite a lot early in his life and late in his life, and so it's definitely the place. And Rowland wasn't always, he wasn't always acknowledged. Perhaps, you know, he never made a red razoo, but he was culturally important, and I think that it's fantastic that that money doesn't actually rule everything, and that despite the fact that it would have been upsetting for him not to have made any money in his career, of course, at least he did earn a lot of love and respect, and that's proof of that, and that's why I like that. And yeah, I'll pass this on to you. Thank you everyone for your support, and thanks to Nick for all his dogged work. And
Bloody mindedness, I think.
yes, and Rowland's father's out there too with a hat. You can pat him on the back and say, "Good gene pool, John." Here's Angela and Jen. No, here's Angela.
Who's on first?
Well, what can I say? I'm just very happy that this is happening, and I just, you know, Rowland was such a talented, witty, impossible man who I loved so much, and I've walked down this laneway with him on the way to get a cup of coffee at the Pelican, his favourite cafe, and it's very fitting, and I'm very happy that he's got his own laneway. It's the last thing he would have expected. I think he always intended to be famous, Rowland, from a very young age, but I don't think he ever thought he'd have his own laneway. So it's pretty cool. I'd rather have my brother, but hey. Anyway, so thanks to everybody. Thanks to Martin Foley, and thanks to Amanda, the Mayor, and yeah. Thanks for all his supporters. And his portrait's been painted all over the streets for the last 5.5 years, so the people wanted him, we knew that, so. Okay, here's Jen.
Thanks, Angela. And thank you again, Amanda, Martin, Serge, Nick, for sticking with the long sign.